the devils that you harbor in your heart. My but light shines in the dark. You'll be cutting, is it worth the ultimate price? My light shines in the dark.
Well, what's going on, everybody? How are we doing tonight? It's been a minute. I've missed all y'all. So, whoa, what was that? Got an orb in here. Crazy. So, anyways, tonight, this starts the kickoff of season 2. We're doing our first live stream, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. Because at the end of it, make sure you guys hang around, because I got a little wheel app over here on the phone, and everybody that enters their names in will spin the wheel, and I will give away a free shirt. Woohoo! Free stuff. We like free stuff, don't we? So with that all being said, let's get all the things out of the way. So make sure you guys do me a favor, go ahead and go ahead and subscribe if you're not. We're actually technically on Facebook too. So you guys out there in Facebook land, assuming I did this correctly, Lord even knows, make sure you guys come over to YouTube at some point and do the likes and subscribes. Let's see here. And make sure once this is at the end, make sure you guys hype it up. Hey, cameraman's here. What up, Sean? And thank you, Mr. Mike and Pam, for the compliments. So about the music, yeah. So I got new stuff coming out with the end of season 2, or at least the end of my side of the pre-records. I'm actually going to drop an album out for you guys. So if you guys really like all the music that you're hearing, you guys will be able to go and get it. And I'll make it super cheap, because I don't like charging much for stuff like that, But, as you guys know, like that, super chats, like all that stuff, that all goes back into this to be able to afford equipment and upgrades so we can go back to the field, just like me and Mr. Sean right here did for Bankhead, our expedition there. And it was a good time. All the clips in the raw are available for the members only. Now, of course, there's also, clips in the raw there. There's the little small podcast thing that I do that is the musings from the car that's there, and all the overtime shows. And so far, almost every single one of the pre-recorded main shows all has an overtime, and it's going to be awesome. So there's that. And it's only 99 cents a month. I ain't gonna charge you guys much. I put it as low as it would let me. So yeah, there's some of the self-promotion out of the way. Let's see here. Anything else I really need to talk about? No, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot else. So I guess tonight, if everything goes off correctly, we'll hopefully have 2 guests, and we'll see if the second one shows up. But until then, doesn't matter. We got an awesome guy coming on to talk about some Bigfoot. So With that being said, let's get Mr. Conley up here. You ready, buddy? I see a shift. And give me a thumbs up when you're good to go, bro. All right. Here we go. Mr. Conley, what's up, buddy?
What's going on?
Oh, not much, man. You doing all right?
Yes, sir. Doing wonderful.
Excellent, man. You enjoying the nice weather?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm thankful summer's moving out. I love summer, but I'm glad it's moving out and fall weather's coming in.
Man,
so,
I
can
feel
I
you.
get an amen on that one?
Oh, yes. Amen. Amen. I mean, this was like the first day I think I felt like actually rolling the windows down and just enjoying the breezes of Mother Nature without having to, throw on the AC. It was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love that fall fresh air, man. It's nothing. It's wonderful. That and spring. That's my two favorite seasons. So.
Yes, right. Fall and spring. That's where it's at. Well, Mr. Conley, do you care to introduce yourself a little bit?
Absolutely. My name is Conley Sistrunk. I born and raised in Louisiana. As y'all can see, I'm a Saints fan. So
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Recently, I am a citizen of Texas now as of 3 years. I work for a Class 1 railroad. Because of PR and all of that stuff, I won't say who it is. But it's one of the big ones. And been working for them for quite a while. And actually working for them, it moved me to Texas. That's why I'm here. But that's what I do. I currently shift roles in between track inspection and at working as a gang foreman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what I do at the railroad. And in my off time, I love to hunt, love to fish, love to hike.
Right.
I love running dogs, actually. A little bit of falconry. I love a little bit of falconry. Me and my wife are into falconry hunting as well. And then, and then my spare, of course, I'm saying spare time here. I'm going to say spare time again, but I absolutely love studying the Word of God.
Mm-hmm.
I love digging really deep into it. I love the offshoots of it, like the Book of Enoch and all that kind of stuff. I just love reading, man. Love research. Love hearing new things, new ideas, that type of stuff.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. That's what we're all about right over here, bro. So it's good to hear. So now, as far as the railroading thing stuff goes, from what I understand, you had a sighting while on the job, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, awesome. Do you care to get into that a little bit with us?
I will, and I do want to lay a little bit of backstory for this real quick. It won't take very long.
Sure. I'll go ahead.
I have always been fascinated with stories that I considered myth, like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, all these things that was always a mystery that I was never directly exposed to. I always found them fascinating, but I always had a slight of satire, so to speak. Like I kind of made fun of people that really went in depth into this stuff. Because it was just, like I said, it was out of my way. It wasn't in my mind. I paid no attention to it. And it was interesting to read stories, but I never took it serious. Right. And I wanted to lay that groundwork because this happened to me last year. And ever since then, I have truly understand that there's just things that we can't explain sometimes.
Right.
But this was in late, I want to say the end of April, 1st of May of last year, 2024. And we had a storm roll through. It was a really bad storm, actually. We had a couple of tornadoes touch down. And this area where this happened, where I was working, was in East Texas. It was on our Longview subdivision. Our Longview subdivision is about 220 something miles. And the sub runs from Silsbee, Texas, all the way up to Longview. And those that ain't familiar with Silsbee's kind of around the Dayton, Houston area. Anyway, this storm hit on this particular subdivision. It was at milepost 109 for our milepost on railroad tracks. This would have been a town called Pineland, Texas. It was in between Pineland. It was in between an unincorporated area called Bronson, Texas, right in the dead center of those two places. And there's a creek that runs through there called Easley Creek. I had just come over that bridge on our tracks, and had stopped because what I was doing at this particular moment was the storm had come through. It knocked trees over. There was trees on the tracks. And also with a big storm that brings a lot of rain like that, they want us to do what we call flood patrol. They have certain parts of the track at different milepost locations that require us to ride over it and check it to make sure it's not flooding to give the okay to run trains.
Right.
Well, there was a coal train that was trying to come north from Silsbee, which was unusual in of itself, but it's not pertinent to the story. But the train was stopped on the tracks because the trees was in the way. So that's what we were going to go do, go clear the trees. Well, I'm clearing trees. I started probably, I don't know, 60, 70 miles up, which would have been in center Texas, going south, which was towards this location, and made it through there, got a lot cleared. I got to this particular spot, and there was probably, when I got through clearing, probably 50 or 60 trees. Now, they weren't huge, big, massive trees. These trees were more like, some of them were sapling size, some of them were 15 to 16 inches, but they were predominantly pine trees.
Okay.
And so I come to this location where this happened. I got out of the truck, and I had started clearing trees. This would have been approximately 5:20-ish in the evening. It was still plenty of daylight, kind of like it is right now, honestly.
Right.
So I had good clear sight, good vision. There was no darkness to contend with at the moment. And so I'm clearing trees, and I noticed right before I got to this spot, I want to point this out. I did hear the normal sounds of late spring. You know, you have the frogs that kick up, especially right after rain. You got the bugs, all these things going on, all these normal noises. And
here in the South, like at that time, it's a cacophony of noise for sure.
Yeah. Yes. And so going on cutting the trees, I started noticing, well, actually I got to the end of cutting the trees. I had made it about 150, 200 feet in front of my truck. And that's how I was kind of working through this location. If there was a big spot, I'd work so many feet, I'd stop, come back, get the truck, and go for it again. Well, I had made it up about 150, 200 foot of clearing. There was actually no more trees in front of me. So I was like, this is even better. So I had noticed it got awfully eerily quiet. Like it was just almost like, as a hunter, people that hunt know this. Like if you're out on the stand hunting deer and everything gets quiet, that's a telltale sign of there's a predator in the area or something. And so this was awfully quiet. It kind of put a chill on my spine. Honestly, it was so quiet, but I didn't think too much of it. You know, like I said, being a hunter, it was just normal thoughts, probably something out there weird. I need to hurry up and get my stuff and get to the truck. And then I noticed there was this, it wasn't real strong, but it was a light, faint skunk smell, kind of. It wasn't the smell wasn't exactly like a skunk, but that's the only way I know how to describe it. It was awfully foul, but it was very faint. Yeah. And again, first thought, skunk in the area, probably spooked it, cutting trees. And as I'm walking back to my truck, I hear this loud crashing, like breaking sound. As this has happened, and I've talked to other people, some people call it wood knock, some people call stuff. This really wasn't a wood knock. This was like something broke, and when I say a limb, I don't mean like a small limb falling out of a tree. I mean, it just to be honest, it sounded like a tree broke in half is what it really sounded like, because it was really distinctively loud. And right after that happened, I had heard like footsteps, like something was walking up towards me, and I got kind of spooked at that point. I was like, all right, we got to go. So I had my saw, and I just took off back to my truck. And I laid the saw in the back of the truck. And as I come up, I got on the side railing to step into the truck to take off. And as I'm looking straight ahead, as I'm stepping in, I see this thing walk from out of the woods from my right side, about 150, 200 foot in front of me where I was, walked up the embankment on the track and off to the other side. And on the left side of me, it's kind of ravine because again, that creek runs back behind there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just nothing but timberland. Anyway, he walked off into that area and out of sight. And at that point, I sped on out of there. I got to the next
Mm.
crossing to set off. I called my supervisor. I didn't tell him what happened. I just told him that it wasn't safe for me to continue operating. He had to get somebody else to do this. And
Right.
I shucked it onto the house. I was pretty shook for a couple of days over that.
Right. Now, pointing out that how, how loud everything was beforehand, you know, I assume that once this thing kind of came up, it got much more quiet, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it was so quiet. As a matter of fact, it was where I was particularly located. The main highway is about 2 miles
Mm-hmm.
at least from where I'm at. And I can tell you, we work in there a lot of times, like when we're cutting in rail, replacing rail for rail defects or putting in ties. When we get there on location and we shut everything down to job brief, you
Mm-hmm.
usually can't hear the highway because the wind's blowing. There's other things going on. It's
Right.
very abnormal to hear the traffic over there. This particular day, when this happened, I could hear the highway traffic. It was so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was with the truck running. And so it was, I don't even know how to explain it. I'd say almost deathly quiet. It was
Yeah.
abnormal how quiet it was.
Mm-hmm.
But no, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
Oh no, you're good. I'm just processing it all, kind of
Yeah.
getting the scene in my head. Now, were you able to make like any good detail out about the creature?
Yeah, as shook up my nerves were, I did manage to get a little bit. I have been asked some details that it
Mhm.
wasn't just something I was paying attention to. Like I said, it was so crazy. But what I can tell
Right.
you is this thing was about 7.5 to 8 feet tall,
Mm.
and he wasn't the distinctive look I've seen that other people describe, or even what videos show of that ape, the real thick, heavy, bulky type look that apes have.
Yeah.
He wasn't that bulky. He wasn't skinny or anything like that. It was more of a lean kind of fit look.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't really notice much as far as movement of his hands. I will say they didn't move much. It was more of his feet. Like I know the film where, he's really
Right.
swinging his arms. He wasn't swinging his arms. They were
Mm-hmm.
more still to his side.
Mm-hmm.
The coat, he was a gray color. The only way I know how to describe that gray is it was a Spanish moss color.
Okay. Yeah.
And I did see part of his face. Matter of fact, when he came out, he wasn't turned directly at me, looking at me,
Mm-hmm.
but the way he was holding his head, I could see from this part right here over.
Mm.
And I've heard some people tell me was it ashy or anything? I can't really tell if it was ashy, but it wasn't that oily,
Mm-hmm.
normal look. It almost looks like he had mud on his face. That's the only way I know how to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
I did kind of get a brief glimpse of where his eyeballs were. I mean, it was
Yeah.
almost like, man, this thing were locking eyes almost, but his
Mm-hmm.
eyes were really black, like they were coal black.
Yeah.
That part to me, that felt almost supernatural to me. I'm just going to be totally honest. It's actually the first time I've said this, but
Yeah.
that almost felt supernatural. It was really strange.
Mm-hmm.
His features of his mouth, I really couldn't tell much other than it looked like he had a slight underbite almost.
Mm-hmm.
And his nose didn't look like an ape's nose. It looked more like it was punched, but still had the human look, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Hooded.
Yeah, there you go. I'm
Okay.
trying to learn all these terms. I'm still kind of new to this, but yeah, that
No
was
worries. I forget them all the time. Trust me.
yeah.
I'm always flying by the seat of my pants, brother. You're fine. You're fine.
That's kind of it. If you got any more questions or anybody wants to ask, it's fine.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Folks out there in comments, Feel free to shoot up some questions. We'll ask them. Guys out there in Facebook, for some odd reason, it doesn't exactly allow me to respond to you guys in chat. Sorry, this is the first time I've had it set up with Facebook as well. So sorry about that, y'all. But I do see them, so fire away. Now I guess. All right, so it seems like a pretty detailed view of the face. I mean, would you say like its eyebrows? Was it like very heavily? What's the word I'm looking for? Just heavy browed, like kind of almost ridged, almost, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You could. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Now, did you notice any more features like about its body? Would you say like okay, so it's not like super bodybuilder out there. We're talking about lean, more basketball player type frame is what I'm assuming, right?
A little bit thicker than that, but
A
not.
little thicker. Okay.
Yeah, not that thin. It's really hard to explain. Let me see if I can. Let me think of something you could put it
Sure.
in
Sure.
comparison to. Let me think. I got a good idea. So, like, your linebackers and your defensive guys, they're really thick, really big.
Hmm.
Then you have your tight ends and your wide receivers. He had more of a tight end wide receiver build, if that helps.
Yes. Yes, that definitely helps. Or at least it does for me. For folks out there with not too familiar with
Yeah,
football.
yeah,
But yeah, I know what you're saying. Like I've only seen like myself one that was like super tall and just thick. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Most of them are I wouldn't quite say basketball playerish, but slightly bigger. A lot like what you're saying, more tight end. Still, traps for days and kind of almost barrel chested in a way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, that's my experience, and it sounds like what you're seeing is very reminiscent.
Yes.
And I think that actually has a lot to do with like the area here of the South. There's a there's a scientific term, and Lord, I am not good with science. I don't math or science well. I think it's like the law of thermal preservation or something like that. But what it translates to, like with deer hunter type terms, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sure more people will be familiar. So here in the South, white-tailed deer are not as big as they are up north because up there it's colder. The colder the climate, the larger the body gets to accommodate for conservation of energy or something like that. So it makes sense that, if you're hanging out a lot of the time here in this area, that you're not going to be some hulking Hulk walking in the woods. It makes better sense to me. But yeah, I mean, and there's also the whole thing of, out there in East Texas, you said, the big thicket, right?
Right.
Like we get so much stories that come out of the big thicket. I mean, there's just a ton of reports and sightings that happen out there. Like I don't know what's going on in East Texas, but y'all got something happening out there in
Man,
that thicket.
after this happened to me, I didn't realize because for one thing, when it happened, I was kind of nervous because, I mean, I got a good reputation at work.
Hmm.
I actually do. Do pastoral duties with a ministry called UNTCI Ministries. So we do a
Awesome.
lot of teaching. Do a lot of teaching on the Book of Enoch. I love getting into even these things, explaining it in a
Hmm.
biblical sense.
Yeah.
But like I said, this never happened, and then it happened, and I'm like, man, okay, what's going on here? And so I've struggled
Hmm.
with sharing, but then I've recently have the Lord has kind of opened me up to different descriptives of this
Hmm.
happening, and He's also kind of opened my eyes to something that's kind of a theory for me that I'm kind of researching right now on the whole thing.
Hmm.
But as I opened up and started talking about this, I didn't realize this, but where I had this experience, just about 45 minutes to an hour south of me, there's another place called Nichols Creek. And there have been over 10 sightings there at this creek recently that kind of tie into what happened to me. And then I've
Yeah.
also been finding out, like you were just saying, this is a hotbed over here for like, man, since the 60s and 70s, they've been documenting stuff over here. It is just, it's wild.
Right.
My neighbors had an experience. I met a deputy sheriff that's had an experience we've talked about. He's actually got this one on record. I'm actually trying to be nice so I can get access to this. It's actually a wild case.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I don't know. It makes me wonder, like, from what I understand, there's so much parts of East Texas, like in the Big Thicket area, that's still, I mean, to this day, you know, for lack of a better word, unexplored. You know, so I mean, you know, no matter the viewpoint that you take on these creatures, you know, there's a lot of room out there. You know, like me, you know, I'm like you. I come at this from the biblical angle. You know, this is all described to me like in Enoch and stuff like that. Like we're talking like chimeras and stuff like that. You know, I wouldn't say, you know, Nephilim necessarily, but then again, you know, those guys created chimeras, and you know, the best example of it would be Enkidu, who was, you know, supposed to be able to rival Gilgamesh.
Yes.
You know, who was 2/3 divine,
Right.
like not even half, like, you know, the normal Nephilim, like 2/3.
Yeah.
You know, what's that translate to as far as building a physical creature that can match that? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, kind of piggyback off what you were saying. For me, real quickly, I won't harp on this too much, but like for me, for the experience I had, like I said, it felt slightly supernatural to me, but then there was things about it that did seem kind of just regular primitive. You know, God created everything. And then we know the devil, he has many names: Nakash, Hasatan, Satan, Lucifer, Shemzai, and the Book of Enoch. He always wants to counterfeit what God done. So my point on this is there's some people on one side of this you're well aware of that believe this is an undiscovered primitive species.
Right.
I would venture to say that some of these sightings probably are.
Very well be.
Very well could be. God people are discovering new stuff in science every day.
Right.
But you can't deny that there is something supernatural going on the other side of this as well.
Right.
And because I ain't gonna say his name, it's his story, but there's one friend of mine that had an experience. There was zero evidence that was a undiscovered species he encountered. This thing was ungodly and it was demonic. And I have a kind of like what you said, it's hard to describe it. The Nephilim and the Watchers create something like this? Not necessarily. There was a story I heard a preacher telling one time. He was not telling a Bigfoot story, but it kind of aligned with what happened to me. And he was describing years ago, he was in Atlanta, Georgia. And he was walking down the street, and the Lord briefly opened his eyes for a minute, and he was seeing these ape creatures sitting on these people's shoulder. And they were different forms, and they were different sizes. Some were really small, some were really huge. So over-empowering, they were over-empowering the person. And he was at this tent revival, and he was praying for this particular lady, and he saw this thing. This thing physically manifested and actually left physical hair at the altar where this woman was praying when they had a rebuke. Well, it was an ape-like demonic spirit. However, when I heard this story and then my experience, I'm like, there could be some similarities between these things. You know, it's almost a type of demon, almost is the only way I know how to put it. Not like the dog man stuff. I'm just talking about Satan mimicking stuff to fear you, put fear in you, to control you or whatever. But I won't harp on that too much. I'm sorry.
Oh no, harp away, man. I was enjoying it. I mean, here's the thing, like what you hit on it earlier is, Satan plus, the fallen, like let's not forget, like Satan's not the only one that's out there doing stuff. Like we got 200 and that fell, and then we got all of their offspring that are now the disembodied spirits that are the demons, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot that's going on out there. And when you really dive into Revelation, first of all, like you'll see that there's kind of a power struggle going on there on the evil side, and then Satan comes out on top. He's kind of like the top dog that orchestrates it, but all the other ones are kind of biting at the ankles trying to assert their dominance, and they don't get to. But where I'm going with that is, if we take a little bit of the evolution side and we see that, there's all these other hominids that were created or were around at one point in time, what we'll see is that they are not perfect. They're not us. Obviously, we are the ones that, evolutionarily speaking, are the ones that progressed, were able to manipulate everything around us perfectly. So if something else that was a witness to creation and is a spiritual being, just like God is, it might not know exactly how God did it because they're not God, but they have at least a small bit of like understanding because they're coming from like the same perspective as they see it be done. They could, create something as well, but it's not perfect. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I mean that's just one way like my brain kind of goes, like when I see people talk about like Neanderthal and all that, like,
Yeah.
Genesis in and of itself is very interesting. There are those that think that, that's why there's kind of like chapter 1 and chapter 2 where like we're talking about two different creation events. Is that possible? Sure, it's possible, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's just one of those things like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Does that impact the good news? No. You know, it's interesting to speculate on,
Right.
sure.
Mhm.
But then again, when Satan fell, and God laid him low in front of all these kings of the land, who are
Mhm.
these kings that he brought them to show him, basically debased? Like, how is there kings already around when Adam and Eve are just getting out of Eden? Like, there's mysteries there that we're not gonna really know until we get up there and get to hang out and go fishing with the big man upstairs, right? But it's fun to speculate on.
Mhm.
Very fun to speculate on.
That is one place I'd love to be, is in that library when I make it to the afterlife. Book of
Oh
John,
yeah.
right at the end, John records that, they have a brief summary on what Jesus did. And he said, if you would write down everything that Jesus did on his brief time here, not even the earth could contain all the books that would be written. So
For sure.
just imagine like what you're talking about with Genesis and all these things we don't know. It's like,
Hmm.
thank God we got infinity to explore it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, man, I'm expecting an awesome couple of fishing trips with Jesus, to be able to ask him all this stuff, be like, bro,
Yeah.
talk to me about it all, man.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know. You should have saw all the stuff that we were speculating on. It was this the whole time. Wow. Like, I can't wait for that. That's gonna be great. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's
for
like, man,
sure, man.
like, oh, that's what Bigfoot was? Wow. Well.
Yeah.
So,
Like, wait a second, every detail. So, like, when they're out in the woods, how is their cleanliness? And it'd be like, bro, let me tell you. I'm like, don't tell me.
uh,
You think a skunk stinks? Whew.
yeah.
You know, that's kind of how I'm expecting that conversation to go. But
Mm,
yeah,
yeah,
well,
me
no.
too. Me too.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. So let me see here if there was anything else I was going to add to that. I feel like there was something. I don't know. My mind went blank. I started chasing squirrels, and now I'm just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I love to speculate about it. I mean, because that's the thing. Like, we don't have the answers. Anybody that tells you I've got 100% the truth, the answer, they're probably lying. Like me personally, like even me, I connect this all biblically, and I am 100% certain on the way that I feel about it. But, like I just said, like, I'm talking like Inky Doo, right? That's where my mind goes with what Bigfoot actually is.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I mean, it's still connected somehow. I mean, we got chimeras. There's even some people that think that Esau has something to do with it,
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. See, like Randy's over here, if we're talking about conflict with Esau and Nimrod.
Well,
Good
the
point.
thing I love about what made me drawn I actually totally wrote off the Esau and Nimrod connection, but she is right, because even Enkidu ties into Nimrod. If you actually study the Epic of Gilgamesh, you actually see Noah in there, Abraham in there. They just all have different names. But
Yep.
what I find interesting about the Esau connection is somebody pointed this out to me, and it was when, of course, Jacob and Esau were twins, but I found this interesting. They were referencing this back to the seed of the serpent, which we find in Genesis. And what if Esau was a implemented seed from Satan? And the reason why they speculate on this is because if you go read him when he was born, the description of his birth, it is awfully wild, like how hairy he was. This wasn't like what we see in the movies where he had a little hair on his arms, a little hair on his face. Like, he was the equivalent of a goat, like the description of him being born. So I did read that. I did find that kind of interesting, and tying him into Edom and all of that. But I don't know how I feel about that yet, but it is interesting.
It is interesting. I'm not the biggest person on the lore with Esau and all that. Like, I know like what happens like in the book of Jasher, right? And that is, extra biblical. And even that, it's like, what we get on Esau there, it's under a lot of scrutiny, like, even my buddy Seth is like, yeah, that the book of Jasher that we have, there's bits and pieces that are real, but the majority of it is fabricated. It's other people, theologians or whatever, way back when, writing fan fiction to kind of connect everything together. And I haven't done the research on that to really like have a definitive take on it. I do trust Seth. I mean, because he does deep dives into this stuff, even goes to like access Library of Congress records and stuff. Like, if he's telling me that, then I'm like, I think you're onto something. I'm trusting you on what you're saying. But I mean, still, I mean, Jasher is interesting, and if Esau is the one that unalived Nimrod, kind of explains why he was so messed up and hungry at the time when Jacob was like, "Hey, what about that birthright thing? You want some lentils?"
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I've never tried to go out to the woods and offer Bigfoot some red lentils, be like, "Hey, you hungry?" I mean, it might get a little mad if that really is the case. It might not want to pull that. Not that I advocate, sacrificing to any of these things, or gifting, whatever people want to refer to it. It's sacrificing. Sorry, my opinion. But maybe who knows? Who knows? I will say though that on one of the dropped episodes that we're doing for season 2, it should be the second one, if my timeline is correct in my brain. I actually have Gary Wayne come on, and he talks a little bit about Esau and how he kind of, his tribe basically kind of marries into the matriarchal side of the Raphaim, which matriarchal side would technically be the fairy bloodline.
Yes.
He goes into depth about that, like hardcore. So you guys out there in the future, make sure you check that out, because let me tell you what, Gary Wayne made my brain melt. Like, I know a lot about this stuff. Like, I'm a nerd, right? Like, I enjoy this stuff. It tickles my tism, but the information that man has, and all the in-depth research that he does, I mean, it made my brain just, I'm just like, oh my gosh. So y'all look forward to that out there. But yeah, man. Yeah. It's so interesting. And, for me, I don't know, like my brain says that I feel like there's an army that's eventually going to be made, and that's why we hear about these things taking place in like remote areas and like you know lots of national parks because it was the Eisenhower Treaty, where he supposedly made a treaty with aliens. Like, you guys can abduct so many people and do all these experiments, so many people a year, but you have to do it in the state parks,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if anybody has dominion over the country to be able to make that deal, it would be the president, you
Yeah.
know. So, I mean, for me, like, that's why I think this stuff happens the majority of the time, in those areas. Now, I don't think that's, 100% the case all the time because we have people that have experiences, like on their property or whatever. And who knows what's going on there? Is there something an ancestor made a deal with, in form like of generational curses or whatever? Like, I don't know. But I do know that the majority of the time things happen out there in the state park. And whenever we hear a unaliving incident, think about the book Missing 411.
Yes.
Like, that stuff
Good
all
information.
happens in the
Yes.
state parks,
Yes, it does.
and for me, if this is all spiritual warfare, the only place where they would actually have legal right to do so would be
It's the
there.
same part. Yep. And I'm glad you said that because I totally forgot to mention that detail. Where this happened to me, right
Mhm.
next to us on our track right there, we actually run right through it too, and that's the Sabine National Forest. It is actually right there where all that happened.
Awesome.
I'm glad you said that because I forgot that detail, and that is kind of important.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if I wasn't chasing a squirrel just then, I wouldn't have remembered to bring it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Mr. Conley, is there anything else that you want to like say or add or anything like that?
No, I'm just thankful you had me on, man. I've enjoyed it, enjoyed meeting you, and look forward to your future podcast. I'm definitely going to be watching. So,
Man, I appreciate that a whole lot. And if you have anything or you hear anything, feel free to reach out, man. I'm
I
I'm
will.
always here. I'm always happy to talk to anybody. So, I really appreciate you coming on. Like, this takes a lot of bravery,
Yeah.
like it really does, man. There's I encounter people all the time that are like, yeah, I'll talk to you, but I ain't coming on the record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thank you so much. It really helps. And man, I just appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Okay.
No, yeah, absolutely. Call your brother Jim, man. So,
That works.
yes,
That
sir.
works. Well, brother, you take it easy and feel free to contact me anytime. Okay.
All righty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
All righty.
Well, what did you guys think about that? That was a pretty neat little conversation, wasn't it? I enjoyed it. Mr. Conley had an amazing experience and he was able to capture so many details. And, even our little chasing of the squirrels seemed to meander down the same path, didn't it? It's those little strings, y'all. Those little strings. All these squares make a circle and they connect somewhere. But, anyways, Ash, if you're there, this is the time, buddy. I'll keep him distracted. So, anyways, all right. So while we're waiting on guest number 2, let me message him real quick. When do I hit the link? Now. Silly. So yeah, do you guys have anything that's on y'all's mind? Anything that you thought about that was interesting? Maybe like a thread that I didn't catch? Put it out there. Put it out there. Let me know. Because if not, we're gonna dive into guest number Dose. I see he's ready. Thumbs up. You ready, buddy? You ready? Yeah, maybe. Okay, cool. Let's see here. I missed my show. I have to go watch for the first part. Yeah, you can catch the replay, bro. For right now, hang out. Stay here with me, Mr. Tim. All right. Well, let's get on to the guest number 2. Here we go. Y'all give a big round of applause for my buddy, Ash.
Oh,
What's up, buddy?
dude, almost didn't make it. I just almost didn't make it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had I won't go into it too much, but I had a friend had a motorcycle wreck. Let's see, I think it was about 1:00, and his wife called me. So I just took off. Didn't even think about my phone, So get to the hospital. The reason why I was so adamant about getting there, I got a brother, my middle brother. He had a motorcycle wreck in 2019, and it gave him brain injury. We went through a lot with him, and he was in a coma. And at one point he wanted us to pull the plug. So thank God he came out of it, my brother.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and but anyway, he's gonna be all right. He had minor injuries. And I had to log in on Facebook on her phone, his wife. So I got here. So I'm a little like adrenaline going. So don't pay any attention to me. I got to come down from that.
Right.
But,
no worries. You're fine. I'm just glad that everything is okay,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So, man, I thank God. God's good,
All the time.
You know how life is. You don't know what's going to happen when you get those calls. You know what I mean?
Right.
It hits you from left field and everything. But I'll have to go back and watch the first of the show, of course. But where do you want me to start, Jim?
Well, first of all, just tell everybody who you are, what you do, and promote all your stuff, man. Let's get all that out there.
All right. I'm Ashes. I've got a gaming channel. That's my main channel, Ashes Antics, on YouTube. I've had it for about 2.5, 3 years now. But anyway, about a year ago, I had some friends that are from Sweden, from Australia, and from New Zealand, and they just wanted to start a platform so we could just freely talk.
Yeah.
Well, they've not been on there but one time, one of them. So I named it the Boom Boom Room, and it's kind of hard to find. So you kind of got to put at the Boom Boom Room 777, for it to come up. It's just a weird link, And but anyway, it kind of went into interviewing people, because I wanted a platform, because it's hard to mix it with my gaming,
Right.
Because I just game on their live stream and put out shorts. So I started that so people could freely talk. I've interviewed people about the supernatural. I've interviewed a friend of mine that was that done the best beard national, coming third place.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then I got a friend from California named Ted, and we're doing a series called Whispers Across America, and we're going state to state, telling 4 folklore or scary or ghost stories from there. It's kind of semi-famous or famous.
Right.
So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the podcast channel, and it's growing, slowly. And I'm really enjoying it. But it gives me a platform, I can talk about basically anything, but it's kind of steered towards the supernatural. So, but anyway, that's about it about me. I mean, as far as, my heritage, I can tell you about my heritage.
Right.
I don't tell it a lot because I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, and I would have graduated in 95. That tells my age. But before that, I'm Romney. If people don't know what that means, I'll just say the slang word, which I don't mind the slang word if it's said in the right way. But gypsy. I'm an English gypsy. And growing up in small town Oklahoma, there was people that were prejudiced and racist. So, and a lot of them were school teachers that I dealt with. But I did have some good school teachers. I had one school teacher that her last name was Miss Matthews. I'll never forget her. I'll go on rabbit trails, but I'll try to keep it brief.
Okay.
But her uncle was Pretty Boy Floyd, the gangster. She was one of my best teachers. He was from the 30s. He was a gangster from Sallisaw, Oklahoma. I think his name was Ronald Floyd. He's a pretty famous gangster that was off by the FBI or something. But anyway, there's movies about it. But I ended up quitting school because a lot of people were racist. But it's like then there's both sides of the spectrum on that. But anyway, and then I guess lived in Oklahoma. My mom said since before I was born, because I was born in Arkansas, right over the line, not far, Fort Smith, Arkansas. But my grandma would tell me, that she passed away in 2012. She was 101 years old. But she would tell me she'd tell fortunes, back in the, I guess, 30s and 40s and stuff like that. And she wouldn't mention a whole lot about it, but she did tell me that in the 70s, I kind of hear about they had the Jesus movement all over during that time, but they got saved, in the 70s, probably before I was born. And so she quit doing all that or whatever, so. But that's really about it. But yeah, there's a lot of racist people. When you mentioned that you're, roaming, it's just the way the world is, Well, you're just one of those dirty gypsies or whatever. But there's good, bad, and everybody. And then I'll tell you, I go rabbit trails. My niece, her dad, we just found out through bloodline she's kin to Charlie Chaplin, famous actor, like real close kin to the heritage. I guess it was on her dad's side, my brother-in-law. But that's about it about me. Do you want me to go into my Bigfoot encounter, or where do you want me to go to on that? I could start there. But I say about a year I've been into the cryptic, all about that. I've had experiences since I've been, okay, good enough. Just let me roll with it. I got you.
You did it greatly. My camera and mic just died. I'm like, what?
Right.
Come
No
on. I had to leave the studio and come back in. So you're good. I caught all.
Yeah. All right. But do you want me to just tell about my Bigfoot encounter and just kind of go from there, or
whatever you want to talk about?
All
Ash,
right.
is what we're here for, brother.
All right. Well, I'll start here. I might go all over the place, but
it's all good.
First and foremost, I grew up in church my whole life, but in the last 10 years, I've grown really close to the Lord. Am I perfect? No, nobody's perfect. We all fall short of the glory of God, but I've really come more spiritual and kind of got it in the last 10 years, gotten closer to him. And as far as intelligent, I'm not an intelligent person. I got a bad memory, but as far as like book stuff, and as far as the cryptic world, I've only been in it about a year. I'm learning about it because about a year ago, I'll tell my encounter. Lived in eastern Oklahoma. LaFleur County, notorious. That's notorious there. And before I go into, what I've heard, what other people said or whatever, we had some property, which is still there, but I don't live there. That we had some mobile homes on, and I guess my family bought it back, I guess in the 70s, early 70s. It was like lots, to put your mobile home, but it's pretty good size. It's fenced in. There's about 10 lots up a dirt road off of a 2-lane, highway. But and it's probably about 7 or 8 miles from the Arkansas line. So during that time, it was 2011. I was married to my ex-wife, and we bought a new mobile home. We had a little small porch on. It's one of those little porches they give you when you purchase a mobile home.
Right.
But we bought that. It was a little lot. And when I'm sitting on the front porch, I walk out. It's about 2:30 in the morning. I was smoking cigarettes at the time. I didn't change much. I vape, which is still bad. Anyway, I walked out on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out there smoking because I always at night I'll get up 2 or 3 times, even before that. I've got type 2 diabetes now. I get up all the time, but got up, got on the porch, was smoking. I say about 60 yards. There's some woods, and these woods, they're not very wide, but it's like a small strip. But if you keep going, it eventually goes wide because we would go in there when we were kids. We'd live in the woods. It eventually goes to the Arkansas River,
Oh, okay.
Back towards the Arkansas River. It's 3 miles. Okay. And 3 miles, if you also follow the highway, just not even probably 1,000 feet, the little 2-lane highway, you go to the Spiral Mountains, which is Indian mountains, the Native American Indian mountains that are over 2,000 years old, they say. It's the Caddo Indians.
Yeah.
Which they said that during that time, that was the Washington, the DC of the Native American nations at the time. So it had a lot of trade and everything.
Yeah.
And when they took all the artifacts in the 1920s, about at least 7 to 8 people died mysteriously. When they took the artifacts out to Oklahoma City, and then replaced them with replicas. But we would walk them when we were kids because it's only 3 miles. We was teenagers. We'd go down there with girls and walk the mounds, and laugh or whatever and look at the little museum there. But anyway, I'll go back. It was 2011. I was on my porch. Now, these woods right there, my dad, my uncle, and them built a little church.
Right.
And at the time, the church was burnt down for 5 years. Somebody arsoned it. I know. They wasn't using it, but they used to have revivals there. I remember as a kid, all kind of people there. They'd have revivals. And they'd have revivals where I lived at the mobile home, the new mobile home. They would have tent revivals when I was a kid. And they would have revivals. And what it would be the Irish, the Scottish, and the English gypsies would all get together and have revivals, all of Pentecostal, basically. And I remember as a kid, they'd, be there, cast the demons out, all that. You know how it is Pentecostal.
Oh,
but
yes.
anyway, I remember when my mom, before she passed away, she would tell me we not lived that. See, the land I lived on was my wife's land, at the time, her family's land. But I grew up probably about 200 yards from there down the road. And I remember my mom, before she passed away in 2009, she'd say, "See that down there, son?" She was a very wise woman, and she had a lot of supernatural stuff happen to her. She said, "See that land down there? They had them revivals," she said, "and they was casting them demons out." And I believe a lot of them didn't know what they were doing, son. If you don't know what you're doing, those spirits, could go to dry places or whatever, and but anyway, I didn't pay attention to her at the time until later, and it kind of hit me. But anyway, I'll go back 2011, smoked a cigarette, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. About 60 yards is the woods. Well, I'm sitting there smoking. All of a sudden, I hear all I can explain it to you is people say an elephant. I say a Volkswagen Beetle with no engine coming through the woods. That's what I heard. I mean, and the first thing that hit me, I said, this is a mule, or what you'd call a side-by-side, coming through the woods real fast. Yeah. Because it seemed like, I think it was hunting season in the fall, but I don't know. But nobody hunted that. It was just too small of, a piece of woods until you get way back, towards the Indian burial mounds. But so I'm looking, I said, what the heck is this? All it was just like trees snapping, trees going down. It feels like trees were being pushed. How people say trees are being pushed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking, and the moon's pretty bright. So I start seeing, I don't know how tall these trees would be, but not super tall trees. I started actually seeing them kind of move. And all I could say it was like probably Jurassic Park, like Jurassic Park. A long story short, it starts coming. I'm looking, I hear crashing. I barely see that. I'm wondering, how your mind thinks. My mind's slow anyway with age and stupidity, but I said, dude, what is this? It got to be one of those ATVs.
Yeah.
Well, when it stopped, as soon as it got to the edge, it didn't come out, whatever it was, All I can explain to you, and this right here, what got me going down the rabbit hole, got me interested or whatever.
Right.
Because I never really believed in Bigfoot, I would watch the shows, but I wouldn't pay no attention, Yeah, it's real or whatever. It roared. And all I can explain to you, I've got to be 50, 60 yards from it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the loudest thing. Roar. I used to go to NASCAR races. I've been a couple funny fuel car races.
Yeah.
And, they gyrate your insides, guts, heart, everything, every organ. That's what it done. It gyrated every organ. It was a guttural but high-pitched roar.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I remember, it seemed like it went on, man, for 30 seconds. It might have been 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But all I remember is I could not move after that. I was scared, stiff. I remember being scared, stiff. And only thing in my mind hit me is this demonic, which, like I said, I knew the Lord my whole life. And during this time, I had other spirits too throughout my life, but I wasn't really close to the Lord spiritually like I'm down. But I said, is this demonic? And then I remember open up the screen door, walking in, and I do not remember nothing after that. Because I went over this in the last year, but that's what got me interested was the roar, because that's when I started seeing people saying the same exact thing.
Right.
Because I've kind of thought it was demonic at first, but I didn't feel like it was, because I've dealt with demonic things, and it's, demonic things got that first certain kind of feeling that you get, in your spirit. I think the Holy Spirit reveals it to you. This felt demonic, but it was just totally different. And so I went in. I think that I grabbed my Bible. I think that I hit my knees, prayed. I cannot remember. That, and after that, it's all a blur. To be honest with you, all that's a blur.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So, okay. So there's a few interesting things there.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, as far as, all right, let me just kind of hit the most mundane things first. How close is that to Brown Springs? Is it close?
No. Where's Brown Springs? Isn't it? Excuse me. Is Brown Springs? Is it straight south? Because I just now was watching Dirt Road Cryptids last night about Brown Springs. I didn't know nothing about it. I was watching your documentary last night, and is it straight? I don't know.
I don't have an answer for that. I just know that, like my buddy Tex goes out that way.
Yeah.
And I know Jerry and them, like they're close to that area too. I don't know the geography very well past Alabama, so it's just one of those things. Like if it were close, I would assume that you would know and be able to.
No, I don't think so,
close.
because that's the first time I heard it. And I used to work all over, because I was a farm painter for 22 years. I'm retired now because of my health. And I would go all over Oklahoma, Kansas, a little bit of Missouri, but I don't remember that. It must be because he said the Red River. It must be down south,
Okay.
So, because, I'm east Oklahoma. And then
Mhm.
southeast Oklahoma, I used to go down there working a little bit, but I'd go down there camping and stuff. And I was in some notorious areas and didn't know it at the time,
Right.
20 years ago. But I don't think I'm real close to that. But I did mention to a couple of people about this county that I'm in, and I've heard that it's, they got LaFleur, which, I don't live far from there now, 10 miles, but where I grew up. But it's notorious, LaFleur County. I've seen a lot of, because they had was it LaFleur was supposed to battle the Sasquatch? They had some big war.
Oh, yes, yes. That was, what was that called?
Yeah.
It's like the Sasquatch War of
Yeah.
1812 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was that area. Okay. Okay,
Yep.
well, daggone, there's some history right there.
Yeah. And see, and I've heard, then I had a first cousin. After in the last year, everything's kind of come back to me because I've been watching. I still don't know anything about the cryptids, but I'm learning. I had a first cousin tell me when he's 12 years old, he said, I thought he was crazy because his mobile home was up high, which now he didn't live close to me, but kind of close walking distance. He said, I had this guy. He said, I see this thing with red eyes, was hairy, stunk rotten looking through my window. This he told me when he was 12 years old.
Yeah.
He told me that so many times and never wavered from that. And that was, a quarter mile,
Right.
Other encounters. I could tell you down there.
Tim's got the info for us.
Okay.
1885 war.
Yeah.
Good call, my brother. I appreciate you for the save.
Yeah. But, they've got a little, they had another little Native American burial grounds. We had some crazy stuff happen, but it's just a little, I think it was not a old cemetery. It was called Scullyville. It's actually on the map. It's not super far from there, maybe a mile. And we teenagers, we'd go there and park, you park and laugh, play, with girls and stuff and joke around. And we pulled up one time, old cemetery with the old gates, and dude, there was two black cats right on the gates, one with red eyes and one with blue eyes, and they were just two staring at us. And stuff would always happen around that cemetery, apparitions and stuff like that. But before I forget about it, I've got a family friend. She gave me permission to talk about it and all that because we're good friends. She's 65 years old and she moved here where I live. She lives in some apartments, I say about a mile from here. And I'll go visit her every once in a while. She can drive, but I'll go over and check on her. If I go to Walmart, I'll stop by, and down there where the Spiral Mounds is a little like a black community, mostly a black community. It's called Fort Coffee, and it had some kind of fort down there years ago because we're close to Fort Smith where I live, and that's where I live now, which I don't care if nobody knows where I live. It'd be hard to find me. But it's all notorious area, with the outlaws and a lot of stuff happened over in that county where I live. I've heard with the outlaws because they'd go over there and just live it up because they couldn't over here because of the marshals. But she told me not too long ago, we never talk about cryptids, ever. Me and her either talking about the Lord because we're brothers, a pastor, or we just talk about people that we've known, that passed away, how so, how your neighbors are, but we're close. She's a funny lady, she's a black lady. She's funny. I've known her since I've been a kid. Well, anyway, I was over there one day and I was telling her, I said, I had out of the blue, about Bigfoot. I think it was Bigfoot. Well, she looked at me because I thought she was going to say, boy, you're crazy, Well, she said, I'm going to tell you what happened to me. She said, when I was younger, when I lived down there, it's called Fort Coffee, which is by the mountains, 3 miles from where I had my counter. I believe 100% it was Bigfoot. But anyway, she said that she was 15 years old. Her and her friend was sneaking out. Said it was about 12 o'clock, and they were sneaking out she said, to see the neighbor boys or whatever. And these are ball bottom lands and gravel roads mostly.
Yeah.
And she said that she seen a wolf, and there's never no wolves down there. Coyotes, yeah, where we live. Oh, because I've lived there my whole life. But she said it's the biggest wolf. I said, was it a dog? She said, no, it was not a dog. This thing looked like a wolf, she said. And it was, she said it had to be 5 foot tall, as big as it was. I said, what happened? She said it took after her running. And she said, I didn't look back till I got, to the house, and I guess it was gone, And that could have been a dog, It could have been some kind of coyote. Now, this is what she told me here, too, another story. She said that when she was 9 years old, I said, well, I went through all this. I asked her, I said, was you dreaming? I mean, was you, crying, traumatized, anything? No. She said, Mom, I got trouble with my mom. It was nighttime. She said, I don't know what time it was. She kicked me out the house. She said, well, Mom would kick me out. She kicked me out for 5 minutes and let me back in always, just to scare her. Right. She said that she came out there. Mom kicked her out. She got on the old, those old propane tanks, the big ones. They put propane in. When I was a kid, I used to get on and think there was a horse and stuff, play on them.
Didn't all of us do that when we were kids?
Yeah.
Surely, right?
Yep. She gets on it. She said, I'm laying there and I'm crying, upset. And this is what she told me. This kind of blew my mind. I mean, totally when she tells me this. She said, I look over. She said, it's kind of funny, but it's freaking scary. She said, I look over. She said, there's 3 scarecrow figures. They are scarecrows, but human too. She said there was a big one. She said, I can explain it to you. It looked like a family. The smaller one, the mom and the daddy, and it was walking towards her, I said, how long was it? Human dressed like a scarecrow? She said, no, it was scarecrows, but they were walking like human. She said, yeah, with red glowing eyes. That kind of blew me. And she lived not a quarter of a mile from. Yeah, I'm not blaming it all on the mounds. I'm not blaming it all on the Native American mounds, but
well, no, but I mean, to be fair, like that is a connecting thread though with a lot of the stuff. From what I understand, like the majority of the time that we hear about it is like with Dogman, right? Because there's a history there with the afterworld and Anubis and all that, so that is a thing. It's interesting though to hear about you and the Bigfoot, as well as her seeing these apparitions of scarecrows, and the cats. I mean, like, what's going on there? I find that very, very interesting.
Yeah, I've had. There's a lot of there was one old Romney man. He was an older man. He died. He'd tell me when I was a kid. When you're a kid, you don't pay attention to a lot of things. Right. And I was always a person to listen to older people when they talk. I don't know why. And the younger ones thought I was crazy. Why you want to sit there and, listen to them, I would love to hear older people talk, because they tell you things you've never heard. But he'd tell me, he said, son, I'm going to tell you something. He said, that land's cursed down there. He said, all this land's cursed. I'd say, what are you talking about? And out of respect, I'd call him uncle. And he would say, that Native American burial grounds, and what they done to him and stuff. That's all he would say. I thought he was, kind of a little bonkers because I was a kid. But he would tell me, he said, all this land here, he said, there's a lot going on here, he'd say. I wouldn't pay attention. But there's a lot of stuff that's went on, you know,
Mm-hmm.
paranormal. I'd say in a 2.5, 3 year, 3 year, 3 mile area, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got the Arkansas River going there. Then you've got another river called the Poto River that goes into that. And that is Poto River, probably, which is way smaller, like a
Mm-hmm.
couple miles when you go to the Arkansas line. And I had a relative seen a ghost on that bridge, which is a short bridge. He was going over it. He told me he was going over it. First of all, I always ask, was you sober? Was you drunk? But he never done any kind of, you know, anything illegal or drink or nothing. He said, I started going over the bridge. I looked over, there's a woman sitting, soaking wet. She looked soaking wet and white on my, you know, passenger seat. He said, I was scared stiff. I said, what do you want? As soon as I went off the bridge, because the bridge is small, she disappeared. He said, you know, it wasn't wet or nothing in there. But what happened was, this is all close. What happened is a lady had a wreck, went down there. It was floods a lot in there. She passed away, and they didn't find her for 3 days later, you know, because of water. And it was right there, you know, which I don't think that's got to do. This is a lot of paranormal stuff that goes on. More than, because, you know, people say hot spots, this, hot spots, that. Man, there's just a lot of stuff that goes on where, you know, around where I live. A lot of stuff. Well, you know, close, you know, I grew up. But I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. I think they're, you know, I don't want to sit here and say that I think they're all supernatural, because I'm like everybody else. I think they're flesh and blood. With their flesh and blood in, they got supernatural. I mean, come on. How can you be seen and not make a sound, you know, when a hunter sees them? You know, I mean, but like I said, I'm not well educated about it. But you're
killing me, brother. You're killing me. Stop putting yourself down.
Yeah, I know, but always been like that. It's I want to learn more about it. It's you know, I went down the rabbit hole. I love going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
I got to be careful though. You know, I don't, because a lot of people, you know, throw stuff out there that's, you know, I think that's you know, iffy. And I think this little community that I've kind of been in with, you know, with you, Jim, Harley, you know, a lot of the guys, you know, Josh, Daniel, you know, that Roger is truthful, you know, a little truthful table. I don't have to really worry about that. But I tell you what about this community, they're about the nicest community I've seen, you know, welcoming you in and, you know, being nice and, you know, helpful and answer questions if you need it. But I'm learning, man. I learn every day, like we're all, you know. But I'll get into this if you want me to, the supernatural. Like I said, I'm all over the place, but
I'm here for it, man. If you got more you want to talk about tonight, let's do it.
Well, if you're done, I mean, we can do it some other time.
Done? Nah, not really.
I don't want to leave you.
Tell you what, let's see here. What do we got? We want to go over some of the paranormal stories that you've encountered.
All right.
Plus, like a little bit about, like, more in depth about your grandmother, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
Tell you what, we're already over an hour. Let's schedule for another either live or a pre-record. How's that sound? And we can, like, go super in depth about it.
I appreciate it. We can do that. Like I said, I do apologize for being late, putting you on the line, Jim. It was just an emergency thing, and I forget my keys when I walk out sometimes. But
I do.
Just, you know, when things happen like that, your friends, your loved ones, you know, you don't think, you panic mode.
Of course.
So I just thank God everything's fine. But I do apologize for putting you online and like that. But
No worries, man. I mean, for real. Like, if you would have canceled, I would have totally understood.
yeah,
No
well,
worries.
I
Don't
made
sweat
it.
it.
I know, but I don't like. I don't like not keeping my word. You know, I grew up like that. My dad, he told me, you know, always keep your word. And next time I'll tell you about him. He was a Mason and he denounced him too.
Mm,
That's all I
yeah.
could say. Now I don't know anything about the Masons. We won't talk about it now, but you know, but he denounced him for a reason, whatever that can be. You know, so I've had people say you can't denounce him. I said, well, my dad denounced him. You know,
Yeah.
that's all I
Oh,
can
there's
say.
ways. There's ways because my grandfather-in-law was basically the
Yeah,
same way. He got very disillusioned and was like, "Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm gonna give you guys my due money, so you have
yeah,
zero reason to come bother me, but I don't want to hear a single word from you." You know
yeah,
what I mean? So there's
yeah,
ways. There's ways.
yeah,
It's not the first time I've heard that either. I've heard it a
yeah,
lot actually. But
yeah,
yeah, man, me and you, we'll set that up. We'll do another episode, and we'll cover all that stuff in depth because I know because what
yeah,
little you've told me about it is
yeah,
pretty awesome. You know, and
yeah,
yeah, we've given them a lot to chew on. You know, especially with everything with the Bigfoots in that area. I mean, but
yeah.
like that's really interesting. You know, I really want to look a little bit more into some of the whole burial ground thing. Like, I need to do a little bit more in depth about that. So you've definitely
Yeah.
spurred me onto a squirrel. So, all right,
Good.
brother, I appreciate it. And one more time, promote all your stuff,
Well,
and
first of
we'll
all,
go from
thank you
there.
for having me and putting up with me.
No
But
worries.
I'm Ashes Antics on YouTube. If you like gaming, enjoy gaming and laughing, you know, check my channel out. It's the dog logo. Yeah, I'm 48-year-old gamer. Yeah. But then the Boom Boom Room, and it's a little tricky to find. Just type in at the Boom Boom Room 777, and you'll find it there. But I've got interviews on there, various interviews, and like I said, I'm doing a series of telling folklore state to state. But
Heck
thank you,
yeah.
Jim, for having me. I really appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, brother. Have a great day,
Thank you,
okay?
Pamela. You too. Thanks.
Thank you, man. All righty. Well, that was awesome. That was awesome. Ash is the best of people. I love Ash to death. So good. So fun. You guys really go check him out. He does a good job with this stuff, I promise you. Shoot, I've even been on the Boom Boom Room. You know what I mean? Go check him out. He's got some really, really interesting things. Like some of the things that he goes down into, stuff that I've never heard about. And I love hearing new stuff. I really do enjoy it. So guys, go check him out. And we've thrown the links all up all the time. They're in the description and all that. So next, what do we do? Oh yeah, I forgot. That's right. So I already tried logging in to see if I could give out some free memberships because I'm allowed to give out 10 for YouTube. But apparently the time hasn't come up yet, so I can't give you 10 yet. But I did promise merch. So everybody in chat, if you wish to be on the app wheel, I need you guys to do me a favor. Push 1 in the comments, and I will put you on. Now, remember, if you get it, what I'm going to need you guys to do is make sure you reach out to me in Messenger. Give me your address. Tell me what shirt you want, the color. Like, let me know what you want, the color you want, and where I'm sending it to. So, all right. So y'all just do it once in the comments and give me a second, and I will put everything in. Where's it at? Spin the wheel. All right, so Night's Watch. Back. Let's just do. Give me a second. Quick wheel. No. How did I do this? Oh, here we go. Light and dark. Let's see here. Live stream. Okay. And oh, I see. Don't save. Activity example. Okay. That's not what I want. Sorry, I did this. I played around with it and it just okay, here we go. Let me kill that. All right, so let me start scrolling up here. First one, Jenny. Okay. Delete. Delete. Probably be helpful if I just do this. Delete. So sorry, y'all. Maybe I should have had this planned out better. But to be fair, how much can you really plan? All right, so Jenny, Mike, Anna. Sean. Tell you what, while I'm doing this, let me give you guys some music. How about that? Be less boring, right? Yeah, I forgot I added those. This ought to give you enough. Ash. By the way, this is a new song that will be on the album. Tim. Greg being a smart aleck. I'll accept it. All right. Make sure I got everybody. Greg, Tim, Ash, Sean, Hannah, Mike, Jenny. That all? Okay. All right. Let's do this. Save. And there we go. So let me get y'all in focus. Spin. Who we on? Says Pam. Pam, do you want to accept it or do you want me to spin again? Your call. I'm gonna give you a second. Do you accept? Come on. Spin again? All right. Spin again. Tim. All right. Ohio Bigfoot researchers. Tim. Well, the good thing is I already have your messenger information. So I can give that pretty easily. So congrats, Tim. Thank you, Pam. That was awesome of you to offer to let us roll again. So, yay! Like I said, buddy, let me know. Look at the shop. Tell me what print you want, color, size, yada, yada, and what address to send it to. And it's all to you, buddy. Cool. So, we go back to media assets. And we've already heard Steal Your Freedom, so we don't need to hear it anymore. Back to comments. Cool. All right, so I guess let's start closing this sucker out. There is one more thing I'm going to ask of you guys. Wait. So anyways, guys, first of all, thank y'all for hanging out for me. Big shout out to the guests. I hope you guys go and check them out. Show them all the love. Thank you so much for everybody being awesome and showing them love here in the live. That was amazing, and I appreciate all of you guys so much. I had a good time. We had a lot of strings to pull. That was awesome. I couldn't have asked for better. So I'm super happy, super proud of my guys coming on out here. Free memberships. I tried. It wouldn't let me. I'll try it again real quick and see if it'll let me. I don't think the time is up yet, but by the time the premiere happens on October 5th, that'll for sure be ready. Hold on a second here. Yeah, hit that button that says live, and I can see myself looking down and talking on a delay. Isn't that cool? So, anyways, what was I saying? Oh, you guys, all those links are in the descriptions and stuff like that. If you guys want to become a member, check it out. I've got lots of content. So it's looking like on Saturday when I drop the premiere for, the pre-records, which is going to be awesome. You guys are going to love Ray. We're going to be talking about the giant of Kandahar. His grandmother used to sacrifice to it. I'm pretty sure that if you guys know anything about that story, you're going to know who he is. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to let me. Oh, wait, you know what? I remember something. I can't do it from the app. Hold on, y'all bear with me. I'll keep talking. YouTube. So, yeah, there's that going on. All the links are there. Y'all go check out merches and stuff like that. And make sure that when you are there, join the members. Oh my gosh, I hear myself. Oh, that's so distracting. Oh, okay, hold on. Hey. Boomski. All right, X out of this. Awesome. Cool. Looks like it says I gifted 5 memberships, so I don't know who got them, but grats. Grats. So, anyways, yeah, where was I going with all that? Yeah, check out the merch, check out the memberships. I'd really appreciate that. There's a lot of stuff that's coming. There's a lot of stuff that's already there. Let's see here. I'm curious to know who got it. I'll have to look. It doesn't show me here. Why? You suck. Anyways, go check out my buddies, Mike and Jenny. They're in the chat. Mystic Mountain Creations. They make awesome cups. You guys go check that out. It all goes to a good cause. Oh, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. You didn't have to do that, man. I really appreciate that, though. You guys, you're awesome, bro. Thank you. So there's that stuff. Let's see here. And like I said, October 5th is when that's going to premiere. And, be looking out. It won't be too much longer, I hope. Everything will be done for Enigma 2, and that'll be a good time. You guys can watch the raw stuff now as a member for Enigma 2. And some of the stuff that I've pulled out of the footage and put filters on to kind of see in the night investigation. Oh, yeah, me and Sean caught some stuff. It's no wonder we were feeling a little bit uneasy sitting there. So it was a crazy time. And then, yeah, going to be dropping an album for Enigma 2. It's almost done. So that'll be cool. Cool music on there. And yeah, buddy, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad you got it. Let's see here. There'll be an album that's going to be dropped for all the pre-recorded, like the official season 2 stuff. That's going to be awesome. What we just heard earlier, better look up. It's going to be on there. I'll make that really cheap for everybody. The new intro music is going to be there. So on that note, let me get ready to land this ship. All right, so here's the last thing I need from you guys. Let me scroll. There it is. All right, cool. Now, all right. So as far as the outro, I have 2 outros made. Both of them I love. They're the same, but it's different music. So I guess we're going to have a little bit of a poll here. I wish I knew how to actually do that. That would be awesome. Now, if you guys want to hear something that's super driving and motivational, we will play Valhalla Will Fall. So press 1 if you want to hear that. But if you want to hear something also cool, but that's not quite as heavy and inspirational, which one was that one again? Let me look. Oh, I don't have it listed. Which one did I use for that? Was it the Night's Watch? I don't know. It's pretty cool too. They're all cool. They're all cool. So, do you want to hear 1 or do you want to hear 2? So, vote. And that is what we will end on. And while you guys are sitting there putting in either 1 or 2 in the comments, also, guys, just if you have an experience, you have a story, please reach out. I'm super easy to get a hold of. Yes, I did. I did give 10 memberships. If you want to get a hold of me and tell your stories here, please do so. If you would rather just have your stories told and not come on, that's also fine. I'm happy to do so. I'm going to grill you for like the details so I can tease that all out, so I can tell the story. But, I want to make sure that you guys feel like you have a voice. So, you might have some information that will be so helpful. Don't think that anything is insignificant. It can be very, very helpful. So please get a hold of me. And let's do that. So, guys, it looks like the 2s have it. Okay. In 2. Wish I remembered what it was. Guys, I love you. Oh, gosh. Really? What a noob. What a noob. Tookie tookie. Peace. And 2.
Sun goes out and the stars come down. Oh, it's gonna be dark when the fires burn low and the sounds get close. Oh, it's gonna get cold.